Hi everyone, welcome to our Novel Hour Gossip Session Live. We do this every other Monday, 12 noon Eastern Time. So we gather all the tea, we gather all the news, we scour the internet so you don't have to, but you can join us here every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Time so we can talk all about the things. So Francesca and I have quite the lineup of topics to get into. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. I have the trusty cue card as always. And top of the list that we want to start things off with is Meta, the meta of it all. So the Atlantic has this database thing where you can search to see if Meta used your material, if you're an author, writer, researcher, just anyone who has published anything. The Atlantic has this page where you can go on and search to see if, one, your work was on the pirated database, and two, if Meta used it to train their AI. They also had a separate article entitled The Unbelievable Scale of AI's Pirated Books Problem. You'll find links to these articles from the writers at The Atlantic. I even pulled a cover from The Guardian, where popular author Richard Osman urged writers to have a good go at Meta over breaches of copyright. Now, going back to the article, I can summarize and say that essentially Meta had reached out to, publishing houses, authors, just all the people who own the rights, the relevant contact information for these people to get permission to use their content. Meta found that it was too expensive, long story short. So they decided to turn to a pirated books website where there are just tons of millions of other works that are available on this platform. Again, I highly recommend that you head on over there. We've seen authors sharing that they're discovering that their work was on this database, that Meta has used it. Again, from the article I've gathered, Meta knew exactly what they were doing. And yeah, they didn't want to pay for the rights. So they went to this website, pirated the information to train their AI. I mean, it's quite damning to find out this is what Meta is resorting to. But again, we can't trust billionaires to do the right thing. Fran, what was your thought on seeing authors share that they discovered their works are on this, but also just on the principle that this is what Meta did?
The first thing actually that stood out to me is the fact that I didn't even think about pirated books in the context of how they could be used by, obviously we think pirated books and a person downloading it and reading it without paying. And it never crossed my mind that a big corporation that is developing and training an AI model could just use that. Like that was never even a thought for me. And that was kind of like a wake-up call, because there's so much material that, yes, it is copyrighted material and you can put all the disclosures and the whatevers, but that could still always be used for training an AI model against your wishes. And there's very little regulation, I feel, right now. Everything is very murky and gray area. And I feel like that leads to, like, for example, in this case, yes, you can have a go at it and try to sue them. But honestly, besides the fact that they are pirated books, so you can get them on that, but I don't know if you can get them on the AI thing, because it's still so early in the regulation. I don't think we're moving fast enough in regulating how AI is trained and how AI is used. So both sides of the equation. So I think it's such a bad place to be. And I don't think that the powers that be are moving fast enough in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to allow for corporations, any corporation really, because when we think of AI, we think of the big ones, but there's smaller players developing AI as well. And who knows what they're doing, because nobody's talking about it or checking them. So yeah, I think it's a big concern. That concern
Absolutely.
will always be there with those big corporations because they do it on other aspects as well. And if you think of social media as an example, because basically I always see those two as parallels, right? What have been the regulations of the social media industry? I feel like AI industry will go kind of the same way. There's very little movement and regulation. There's nothing proactive protecting the consumer. And in this case, protecting the artist. So I
Yeah.
think that this is going to be bad all around. I feel very bad for the authors because I don't really, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I know there's very little regulation on AI. So I hope that they're able to get something. But at the end of the day, that AI was trained. It's done.
Yes. I think it's one of
It's
those
done.
things where the bell has been rung and you
Right.
can't unrung the
No,
bell.
no.
We'd love to hear from you. So if you're watching us live, let us know your thoughts in the comments on Meta essentially using a pirated books website to use all the material there to train its AI. Of course, we have popular authors calling on their fellow authors to go at Meta, sue Meta, and just, kind of try and get some recourse. But again, based on the reporting from the Atlantic, Meta already knew what it was
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
and this was a conscious choice. I am going to echo what Francesca was saying in that regulation is very slow with this. I still feel we should have so much more regulation as it relates to social media. Social media has been out for a hot minute and we're still behind on that. So the fact that we haven't caught up with social media, I don't really have that much hope for AI.
Yeah.
Again, not an attorney. I have no idea. But I do know that copyright law is very subjective, extensive, and it also requires a lot of money, right? It's a federal situation. So I know from experience talking to attorneys in my own business is that anything copyright related is federal. It's a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. And also, again, it's one of those things that's just very subjective in law. So there's lots and lots of barriers that authors, I think, are going to have to cross. But hello, Congress, do something. We need laws and regulation as it relates to AI. But again, if you're watching us live, let us know your thoughts in the comments on just Meta, AI, pirated books, and what authors can do. Replay crew, we haven't forgotten about you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well.
Actually,
Okay.
I think that the best thing authors can do, and the only thing they can do, is form a huge coalition, work together, and the publishers need to get behind them in this instance because
I
they're
think
the
they
ones that
are,
have
though.
the cash.
I
So
think they are.
if everything just forms a huge coalition with the money from the publishers as well, there might be a chance even for at least some kind of settlement or something, or maybe that is the push for the regulation at
I
the very
think,
least.
yeah,
So
I think we can have that. And I think publishers are
yeah,
behind the authors already.
yeah,
We see them suing these AI companies and stuff. But again, if you have the regulation, which makes it clearer, it's less money, less time. Because here's the thing, they
yeah.
can all band together, but I promise you it's going to be a long
It's
time
gonna be
through the
messy. Yeah.
courts. Yeah, it's going to be a long time through the course. But again, let us know your thoughts in the comments. We have a lot to run through today. So let us know your thoughts in the comments as we're going along. But the next thing we want to kind of bring up, and this is kind of some petty drama, all right? It's petty, but I am here for it. So the sourcing for this one is the skim on Instagram specifically, which is where I found it. Links will be included in the video's description after the live. And it brought my attention to a fantasy author who recently complained about all the chick lit and booktop slop dominating store shelves, and that in male-centered fantasy is nowhere in sight. And of course, they went on to share some of the women's responses. But let's see what the petty author had to say. So this is what the petty author had to say. Happened to be in Target again and decided to check in on the fantasy section. Unlike last year, any male-centric fantasy is nowhere in sight. It's all chick lit and book talk slop. Modern publishing hates male readers. Now, we already know, this man is trash, but let's move on to some facts. The Skim shared a whole bunch of comments from women, but I wanted to share this one slide in particular. The source is from Nielsen Book Research, and it highlighted readership of the 10 best-selling male authors. Now, the readership of that is 55% male and 45% female readers. And then readership of the 10 best-selling female authors, 19% male readers and 81% female readers. So with that said, women, female readers are the largest demographic for books, period, whether it's written by a man or a woman. So the fact that this man is going on to say, hello, there is no male-centric fantasy. I'm like, sir, pick up one of the women-centered fantasies. What is wrong with that? Why does everything have to be male-centered? Fran, I mean, when you saw, again, this is petty drama, petty trash. How did you feel? I'm like, sir, I don't think you really are a reader.
No. First reaction was actually to laugh, because a comment like that just tells you that they don't read widely, because the men that have picked up a booktop slop fantasy book by a female author, a lot of times they like it and go on to now. Can they still enjoy more Brandon Sanderson? Maybe, but that doesn't mean they're not going to like the other one. So like, just give all books a chance, and you might find that you actually like something else, at least for a change. Maybe that is the type of book that you want to read between your heavy fantasies, which I actually do follow a creator on Book Talk that is a male reader, and that's what he does. He will read like the heavier kind of fantasy books. Let's call them the male centric, and then we'll pick up a book talk slop, as this guy likes to call it. So I think that it just shows that he doesn't read, and he doesn't try to read things outside of one lane, which I always promote for everybody, male or female, to actually read widely. Just read different genres, read different types of authors, because you'll always find something that you thought you may not like, and you might actually enjoy it. So don't box yourself in. Like, that is just such a dumb thing to do. Why are you boxing yourself in? You may like chick lit. Why, you've never watched a romantic comedy in the movies? Come on.
I had a good laugh. I will say, when I saw this, I had a good laugh. I love that folks responded, you know what I mean? But also with facts, because I love facts, okay? I'm a numbers gal too. I love to see the research and the numbers. And the truth is,
and the women,
women don't have such a big hang up about reading books by men, and also with characters that don't center them and are not about them. So I'm just like, sir, there are many other books that you can read, but just the kind of hate on books and what is being sold right now, it's a you problem. It's not a us problem. But again, go read some of the book talk slop. It might actually help. But we would love to hear from you. So let us know your thoughts in the comments about this sir who decided to say, he wants more male fantasy content, male-centric fantasy, because it's
also
nowhere
he's talking
inside.
about Target. Now, the book section at Target is quite small. So in a numbers world, they have to fill that section with the things that are best selling. So they cannot cater to a huge variety, because they need to stock those shelves, because they are limited. It's not a full bookstore. It's kind of like saying I expect to see everything at like the grocery store book section. That's not going to happen. You're going to find a couple of like the bestsellers or whatever are the authors that are popular for the target audience that goes to that store, and that's it. So that is also not being self-aware for where he's talking about it. Like, he's not talking about like a Barnes and Noble. He's talking about
Target. He's self-aware, period. I don't think he's self-aware, period. I'm like, sir, go to a bookstore. How about that?
Go you will find that there. Nobody's hiding male-centric fantasy.
Again, go to a bookstore, sir. Go to a chain bookstore. If you have an indie bookstore in your town, even better. Go there, but you can't expect it in Target. You can't expect it in Costco. You can't expect it in any wholesaler, any retailer, Walmart. I've seen people go to Walmart, the Dollar Tree, get you a dollar book. Okay. You can't expect the same thing. But again, sir, read books by women. It won't kill you. Actually, I think it will help make you a rounded reader. But again, we're not going to spend any more time on this, sir. Okay. Because we have lots of things to talk about, but we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Next up, more petty drama. Okay. Today's like the petty drama day. It's the petty drama day, because you know what? Sometimes we need some pettiness in our lives. And this one is going to build into multiple layered discussions. So I'm going to preface this by saying we're going to wear multiple hats today, because we never think singularly. We look at things from different sides. Okay. So today's petty drama is there was a certain influencer who posted a negative review about the author and posted about it. Said author unfollowed them. And of course, it built up a storm. Said influencer then got back on social media and did an explanation video to say, hey, this isn't that deep. You know what I'm saying? It was a joke. It was comedy, dramedy, that kind of vibe. Okay. And of course, like I said, social media went on fire. We had some authors and readers chime in. I'm just going to summarize what is being said, but again, we'll include links in the video's description if you wish to go down said rabbit hole. But essentially, people are saying, look, authors following and unfollowing popular influencers. What are the thoughts on that? They're actually saying authors need to protect their peace, because sometimes you open up your algorithm and boom, you will get something in your face, whether it's a positive review that might brighten your day. But if it's a negative review, that can set you off, you know what I mean? And they are humans. It's also important. This one author is saying that in today's social media landscape, the expectation that anyone must not unfollow anyone is asinine, okay? Because people can unfollow people for less. We have even more screen grabs in the conversation, essentially reminding people that in an algorithm-based platform, if they just want to unfollow the negative reviews, it's not you, it's not personal. They just don't want to see it, and they should be able to curate their feed accordingly. So basically, they don't want jump scares in their feed. So, Fran, one, what is your thought on, because again, this is a multiple discussion conversation, okay? I want us to break it down. I want us in the chat too, live chat. Let us know your thoughts. Replay crew, we'd love to hear from you too. But just on the point of an author following and then maybe unfollowing an influencer who shares book reviews on their platform, and they happen to see a book that, you know what, it's their book, it's negative, and they're like, you know what, I just need to check out. What are your thoughts on authors following and unfollowing?
I think it's absolutely valid for that to happen, because you have to put yourself as a human in their shoes. So nobody wants to see that criticism first thing in the morning, especially when they're not even expecting it. Like the one author that said, like, it's just like a jump scare, even if I have unfollowed the account. So some of them were even saying that they'll go as far as blocking, not because they don't like the person, but because they don't want to be served by accident by the algorithm, that kind of thought. And I can only imagine, especially a popular author like this one. So for sure, there's lots of mentions and the algorithm just pushing that content to them. So it's totally valid that the author just wants to create some boundaries. It's never going to be perfect, and they're still going to be hit with some of it, but at least let them have their mental health, because who's able to like hear something horrible about their work that they put their whole soul into it, and then they go and sit down to write and be creative. Like, that's just going to eliminate any creativity that you can have for the day, and then like you're going to miss your deadline. So I see it from the point of view that they're a human. Just let them be with whatever works for them. It might be different for different people. Just let them be.
I am team protect your peace. Hello, everyone watching. If I ever get annoying, unfollow, block. I am team protect your peace. Yeah. I am team you owe no one on the internet nothing. I am team you don't know these people in real life. I get the parasocial relationship of it all. But again, if you open your social media feed and you see someone who just grinds on you, because I get it. It happens. Someone just grinds on you, whether it's valid or not. Again, it's your feelings. Okay. It could be jealousy. It could be upset. You're like, man, I wish I went there. Whatever it may be, because I get that feeling. That would have been maybe teenage me if I had social media in high school or uni. I clearly didn't, but I can understand those feelings. Right now, I really don't care. I exist in my own bubble. People in my real life love me. So that's all that matters. But if you've ever had that feeling, block, unfollow, delete, curate your piece. And I think authors are human too, and they are allowed. So monitoring who they're following and when they're unfollowing, I'm just like, again, do you? But then the next thing is the influencer side of it, right? because again, social media has gotten to the point where it's transactional, right? So the author is protecting their piece. But then now, from a reader's point of view, they might read it a certain way. What would you say to a reader? Because just any old reader, because this is a topic that has been rinsed and repeated. It's just right now, it's this specific influencer and this specific author.
Right.
But from a reader point of view, who is posting reviews, who is promoting your book, again, whether it's good or bad, it's promotion. From the reviewer side and the influencer side, like, do you see their side and their point of view?
I totally see their side, because I am the first proponent for you should post negative reviews. Because I feel, and this is something that I have heard also from people that have followed my blog for years, if you post the negative reviews, is two things, right? Number one, you are promoting the book anyway, and somebody might find something in that negative review that they like. So it's still promotion, number one. Number two, it also, because you are an influencer and a reviewer, the readers that follow you, so now that is your audience, they have to know you and your taste so that they know if what you like matches with what they like. Like, how do I determine that this person is someone that I should be following their opinions? Because it's not just like I'm going to follow everybody's opinion on the internet. We have to share similar taste. And if you don't share the bad, I can't tell. You know what I mean? So I think that it's important to post negative reviews. You should never tag the review. I don't think this reviewer tagged the author. So I don't think she did anything wrong in that sense. So she posted what she needed to post for her audience. The author happened to be part of the audience. And the author did also the right thing by removing herself from it. So that is step one. No problem there on either side. Where I think it became a problem is for you to know who has unfollowed you, you need to go look for it. Because otherwise you're not getting a notification that somebody unfollowed you unless you have, I don't know if it works for TikTok, but for Instagram, I know that they used to have those apps that would give you the notification of who unfollowed you. So unless she has that, if it's still a thing, I don't know, because I don't do that. But if that's the case, otherwise she went to look for it. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. Either you posted that review with the intention of sparking some kind of reaction, and then you went to see what was the result of that, or like, I don't understand the point.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Stick one pin there, because I do want to get your opinion on this. Because she has such a large audience, the audience could have reported it to her, because I've seen several times where your audience brings information to you.
But she was a follower anyway, so that means she would have been served the thing anyway. Mm-hmm. You know, my point is for her to know that the author unfollowed means that she went looking.
Or someone told her that the author unfollowed her because they went looking, is what I'm saying. Looking.
But that would have required a level of work because the influencer herself can easily tell. Mm-hmm. But if somebody else did it, that would require some dedication, like a half hour of scrolling.
Well, people are nosy, okay? And they're like, ooh, I wonder what the author said. And then they went on the author's, look, I don't know, but all I'm saying is my final
Somebody went looking for something that they did not go looking for. And then came the point that she thought it was a funny video to make, which I think this is just, I'll give her the grace of, everybody has different personalities and everybody thinks different things are funny. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't have done that, but I feel like there's a lot of snarky kind of bookish influencers that is their brand.
I thought it was snark. I don't know.
I think it matches the vibe of this influencer. Now, you may like it or you may not, mm-hmm. but if the author was following the account, that means the author knew the kind of personality.
I'm just going to say
this person had.
I don't have a gauge on this influencer. It's not someone I've watched or I know, but just on the surface, it just seemed like dramedy to me. You know what I mean? I don't think it was created to be hurtful. Yeah. I genuinely felt it was dramedy. I mean, the whole setup, everything. It was, to me, it was dramedy.
And
We're all
maybe it was even for the clicks. There's so many people
and
that
that's
create
fine.
content just to be like, oh, I want to get shared and I want to be, cause a little bit of drama because I'll get the views.
Yeah, but also to me, it's
Also
dramedy. A
college.
bad word wasn't said. You know what
No.
I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, I'm cool, I'm
Yeah.
down. Where it gets serious is this one, the sit down. You know what I mean? Like the sit down. Now, again, you communicate with your audience how you see fit. I guess when I have an update, I send a Substack, an email. I get it. So everyone is different. However, in this landscape where we have these parasocial relationships, which is what I was saying, okay, people feel like they know people, but the truth is you really don't know people. You don't. However, I will end by saying reviews are for readers. I truly believe that. That's a me thing, my opinion. I don't think they are for authors. The only reviews that are for authors are professional trade reviews, okay, by the critics. I'm not saying we're not critics, okay, we're critics too. But those professional people, I will never declare myself a professional in that way. So those reviews are for you. What your publicist or your publisher compiles and hand delivers to you, that is for you. The rest of the stuff on the internet, it's for us. And I recognize they live and they exist in this landscape. However, it's not for them. But I do believe authors need to do what they need to do to protect their peace because they too are human. And I recognize my part. So if we understand and see each other, I ain't never coming on here and saying, oh, this one unfollowed me. It's so dramatic because I'm not keeping check and I really don't care. And what someone else has to say about me in their group chat is none of my business.
Yeah.
It's none of my business. And seeing that we still are gossiping, it's clearly your business, but that's another story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments if you're watching us live. Replay crew, we haven't forgotten about you as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think reviews are for authors as well? What do you think about the influencer-author relationship? I mean, it's not going to change. This is the world we're in. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. All right, next up, I don't want to say this is petty drama, but it goes back to the community and where readers feel like they have ownership, influencers feel like they have ownership, and what authors and their representatives, what say they have in the content that is posted in online spaces. So I want to get to Anne Rice and Christopher Rice. Now, in an Anne Rice Facebook group page, there was a post made to do a cover reveal of Christopher's forthcoming book. Of course, they have a little teaser on the top, basically saying, might be a bit too hot to handle. For those who prefer a more PG world, we resume on normal programming at a later time, And then if you go on, you will see the full cover, but you'll also see Christopher sharing more about the book and what you can expect in the book. Sounds pretty normal, right? In an author group post and so on, I would tend to agree. But then, of course, in most group settings, things kind of go left. We have lots of people saying, we are glad Anne Rice's son is writing his own books. But I used to think Anne's page is all about her and honoring her novels. But instead, it's about promoting her son. Another person goes on to have a deeper conversation. Serious question. Why would an author use a pseudonym if they're going to put their real name and, their real face and just say, hey, I am the author writing said book? So we have multiple things to unpack here. And I know, Francesca, you definitely have opinions on this. We're going to split this into two discussions. We're going to talk about one, an author promoting their son or friend or family member or anyone of their choice, choosing to use a group space to promote other work. Now, in this case, I know this author is no longer with us. It's a whole different thing. But I'm just curious on your take, first of all, of them sharing and announcing the book. I'm just going to say, which mom is it going to promote? Again, if the mom was here, but even when the mom was here, the mom was doing it. But again, who wouldn't promote their child's work? I mean, I'm promoting my friend's work. If my friend gives me a call, I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on people complaining about Christopher's work being promoted in the group?
Yeah. First of all, what you just said, that's his mom. And when she was alive, she always promoted his stuff. Like, they had a very close relationship. They did a lot of promotion stuff together. And this is not the first time that Christopher has had his books on her page. Again, when she was alive. So it's not an uncommon thing. And also, like you said, I feel like authors just naturally will promote their friends' stuff. Forget family. Obviously, their family. I've seen authors promote like when their kid starts writing. For example, Christine Fian, her son started writing also paranormal romance, Brian Fian. She was promoting that at conferences on her Facebook page or whatever. Like, that is just a natural thing for you to like come on and say that it's such a, like, we have to be very purist about the page has to stay just for that one author because that's why I'm here. Again, it goes back to authors are human. They're not robots. They're not, so it's not a little AI thing behind the keyboard. It's a human. They have feelings. They like things. They don't like things. And of course, they're going to promote people they love and care about, especially if they're doing something, and even more that it's related to the field, it's another book. So when Christopher Rice started writing, his books were a bit more like close-ish to Anne Rice in style, a little bit more horror and horror romance and like romantic suspense and horror elements. And going to the second topic here, which is the name, that's what they were harping on.
Yeah, so let's I don't have it on the cover here, but there was a pen name that is used. It goes on to explain it, the reasoning behind it. So I was happy, Christopher went on because the book cover has a pseudonym. Now, Christopher goes on to say the pen name was a way of letting my readers know this was markedly different fare from what I typically write, not as dark, not as frightening.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I did not want to send the message that I was remotely ashamed or embarrassed, hence acknowledging the pen name. So let's be clear. The author responded, which again, look, it's always good when you can get it from the horse's mouth, saying it's twofold. One, wanting to separate the work, but also saying, hey, I'm not ashamed of what I'm writing. I just want to separate the work, but I'm letting you all know it is me. So tell us about the pen name choice.
Yeah, so I think that, and going back to the fact that these people are supposed to be here because they're fans of Anne Rice had so many pen names. Like, if you're a fan of Anne Rice, you should understand the concept of why each one of those pen names was different. Like, when she writes the Sleeping Beauty series, which is BDSM, like, I don't know, R-word fantasy, that is a different pen name because you're not going to get Anne Rice style situations in that book, but it's still on the cover that's her. And when we were talking about the CSAM, she has a book that it's not romance, but it involves a very, very, I'm not going to say questionable, it's a terrible relationship with a minor in one of her books. That's a different pen name completely. So like, if you read Anne Rice and if you've read extensively her work, you should be familiar with the concept that the reason why she chose those is for that exact point. And the fact that Christopher did that, I think works well. And it's not the first time other authors have done it. I feel like and I love the fact that he's saying, I still put my name on it so that people still know that it's me. So it's not like I'm hiding behind the pen name, which, and you know what, hiding behind the pen name is not bad either. Many authors have to do it in order to be able to publish for whatever circumstances. Maybe they have small children, maybe their work, because they're not independently wealthy and publishing books is not their only source of income, and maybe they have to. So I think that it's a totally valid point to have a pen name. He's choosing to only use it for the reader to be able to determine whether they want to read that or not, which honestly, it's a very useful tool for a reader.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I also want to emphasize that the other point. I think people forget most authors have day jobs because writing can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And not every job is okay with you moonlighting doing something else.
Yeah.
And then if they are okay with it, they also don't want the name association. Also,
Mhm.
can you just imagine? So if you guys are new here, you might not know. My background is in healthcare. Now, if I decided I wanted to write like a healthcare romance, let's just say a Grey's Anatomy style romance, it would be hella problematic for me to be writing that because it's related to my day job. Then they might be wondering, like, are you taking things from work? Are you
Yeah.
using these? So I'm just saying, some professions, I know some professions and some jobs and some employers are more forgiving than others. But pen names serve multiple purposes. I do agree with it, differentiating genres. I know authors write one genre, then they have a pen name for another. I also know from full experience that publishers and agents might recommend,
Mhm.
hey, you know what? I think this would be better suited for a pen name. And
Yeah.
then if that author has an audience and they're also, proud, they want to say, hey guys, I'm also writing this under this new pen name. Support me, essentially. It's a thing. So look, I just feel like people are always searching for problems, but I do give it up to Christopher for sharing and being very clear about it. Because listen, if you were in that group, the messages were horrendous. But let us know your thoughts on the Anne Rice of it all. Anne Rice's page being used to promote her son. And if you think readers are crossing the line by demanding it should just only be about Anne Rice, we'd love to hear from you. Replay crew, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Okay, real quick, we have to give you the Tori Woods update. Okay, we're giving you an update. We have been reporting on this for like 2 weeks straight. We have a separate video just in case you have missed it, explaining how this whole thing came to be. We also went on to talk about her arrest, which again, noteworthy. She is out on bail. We also talked about what that potential effect might be for us Americans, us living in America, because even though this is happening in Australia, make no mistake, we are not delusional. This can very much happen here with maybe a different author or a different book. So I wanted to give you guys an update. So the latest update, because today was actually supposed to be Tori Woods' court date, March 31st. I haven't seen any reporting out of Australia on that yet. However, the latest reporting was this headline, where the Daily Telegraph shared more about her bail conditions, of which includes a social media ban, which again makes sense. The other things that I noticed in this article was the fact that she was required to surrender her passport, not apply for a new passport, and not to approach or enter any airport or any other means of departing Australia. So even though they said, airport, of course, there's sea, there's I don't know what else,
Mhm.
but there was that. Another thing is that it is being treated like a whole paparazzi case because they caught a photo of her leaving
Oh,
her
Lord.
home. So for the first time, obviously looking very downtrodden and, with her oversized sunglasses and all. Again, that is the current update as it relates to Tori Woods. I will include a link in the video's description to the Daily Telegraph so that you can read the article and learn more about what is happening. Again, if you are new here, Tori Woods wrote the book DLT. We have a separate video on that, so you can head on over there to listen more about it. And said author was arrested and is out on bail after being charged with CSA, because we're not saying the full thing here, trigger warning, but producing, disseminating, and I forgot the third one, of CSA material. Disseminating, producing, possessing, that's the third one. So again, check out that video for further details. We will stay tuned to Australia Press to see what else is happening with Tori Woods, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. All right, the last thing, well, not the last thing, we have two more topics. The second to last one is just petty drama. Over the weekend was Shells in the City, okay, put on by HarperCollins Publishers. They did something last year. It was in New York City. You know, they had a little bookstore crawls and this and that. Our friend Laura was giving us the tea in our group chat, you know, and folks on social media had opinions. This year it was in LA. And I'm just going to say this. As a person who creates book content on the internet, okay, somewhat an influencer, even though I don't identify with that word, you get invited to things, you get free books from time to time, you know, you get collaboration opportunities from time to time. I think I'm grown enough to know that everything isn't for everybody. You can't get everything. I've known for a really long time, guys, the world is not fair. So, like, I don't feel any type of way when I see, like, people get books or opportunities that I haven't myself received. But people had opinions about who was invited, who did this, who did that. What are your thoughts on the whole Shells in the City weekend, Francesca, and just everything?
My only thought is, if I can give any advice to somebody that wants to create content on the internet, is just do your thing. Don't look at what anybody else is getting. If you're doing what you're doing because you want to get the invite, get the free book, get the, I don't know, the relationship, going back to the parasocial relationships with authors. If you are creating content on the internet for any of those reasons, just don't create content on the internet, because it's just going to be bad for your mental health. It really will be. So, like, stop looking, stop comparing, and just do your thing. If it's the right fit for you, it will come. And I mean, honestly, that's the only thing that I can get away with it, because it is so much drama, and it's all unnecessary drama, and it creates this really toxic community, which we then have to all navigate in, because everybody's just looking for that one opportunity where they can get in and get that invite and get that connection. And it's just really toxic.
I was cackling on the couch and my husband was like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, people are upset about not being invited on this trip. And then he's like, well, let's be fair. An all expenses paid holiday weekend is more valuable than a book man.
Although it does come with certain requirements for what you have to do. So do you want to do that is the other question, because it's not like you're going to pick and choose like the authors that you're going to be interacting with, the books that you're going to have to, like, that now is part of a paid job collaboration. So you're going to have to be okay with what they're telling you that you need to, in a sense. Even if they give you some options and some leeway, it's still going to be, there's a purpose for why they're doing that. And there's certain things the publisher wants to accomplish. This is a publisher sponsored event, and they have their own benchmarks and their own things that they're trying to accomplish with that. So you're going to have to be okay with navigating within those. So yes, it's an all expenses trip.
I have a question. Are they being paid?
I don't think they're getting paid.
Okay.
I don't think they're getting paid. Not for that, I don't think. But I'm sure that if you're invited to that kind of event, you do have options and connections for paid partnerships and paid collaborations. Like that, for sure, to me is a given, that you are part of a group of people that they're working with in a financial way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No. I was just curious.
Think there's anything wrong. I just want to make sure that that's clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It just becomes something that you have to be okay with what you want to be involved with. I would like to have more control over how I work with a publisher. So for me, it would be more about a strategic partnership to promote a book that I personally want to promote, versus just a general thing. Like, this to me is more ego boost than anything.
Yeah. I was just curious because, like, what you were saying, I'm like, they have specific things to do. So that's why I was just like, oh, by the way, are they getting paid? So that was it. But
I think that would be separate, maybe separate deals, probably.
Right. But they were invited to this thing. Listen, trip looked fun. Is it for me? Probably not.
No.
It's not for me. I've gotten to the age, I don't even want to wait in line for things anymore. Yeah. Listen, signs of the time.
Yeah. But, they really are. I mean, I used to live in New York City, so I used to do a lot of publisher events. And it's also because they knew I was already local. So a lot of times I would get the invites. And anytime that it was multi-author or anything like that, it's not the kind of vibe that I want to be part of. If it was a one specific author kind of event because it's an author
Mhm.
I like, I'm all
Mhm.
for that. But
Mhm.
otherwise, no. Usually, you're going to get your swag bag with the things that they're trying to promote.
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah. But anyways, I hope the folks who went had fun, and everyone else on social media, really, y'all are sounding like haters. I'm just going
Yeah.
to say it.
Let them
Y'all are
be.
yeah,
Worry about
sounding like
yourself.
haters. Just stop. Just stop. It's okay. Everyone doesn't get everything, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. But anyways, we're going to end out today's gossip session live with a bit of news. It is, a tad sad. However, People magazine is reporting that LJ Smith, the author of the Vampire Diaries novels, has died at age 66. Of course, if you're not familiar with the Vampire Diaries novels, I mean, where have you been? Where have you been? But maybe if you didn't read the books, right, you might have heard about the series on the CW. So I will just go on just to say again, the author's rep to People magazine. I'll include a link in the video's description where you can kind of learn more. But essentially, LJ Smith published over 24 books and left behind 3 unpublished works at her passing. Of course, many of her books are geared towards YA readers. She began writing her first fantasy novel while in high school, very fun fact, which of course caught the attention of this book packaging company. Again, it went on to do well as the adaptation. Speaking of Anne Rice, of course, that was an inspiration. And just lots of things happened. I do want to say Vampire Diaries is kind of like when we were talking about Twilight the other day.
Mhm.
It was one of those things that made people read. And if you didn't hear about the books, you for sure heard about the series. I mean, how did you feel hearing the news?
Yeah, it was sad also because she does have other series besides Vampire Diaries. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a series that's unfinished and it's been unfinished for quite some time.
Mhm.
So anytime that you have an author that passes away when their work was not finished, like there was something that they still had left to say, it
Mhm.
is very sad. I had read some of her novels and I also watched the show at the beginning. So I do feel that like connection to it. And again, I can really appreciate an author that was such a staple in the genre, in any genre, even to getting teenagers, because a lot of the readership and the viewership were younger adults. I love to see them being able to explore books and it opens up for them reading other things. So, yeah, definitely sad.
Yeah, definitely sad, definitely a loss. But L.J. Smith undoubtedly left behind her mark and her
Mhm.
legacy. Really excited to see maybe if the estate does anything with those unfinished books. But even if they choose not to,
Yeah,
again, she has done a wonder for the genre and again, getting young adults to read.
yeah.
Okay, we covered a lot here today. So if you're just joining us, you're going to have to hit that rewind button, all right, and catch up on all the different topics. We covered a wide range of things. But before we go, I want to let you know our Thursday show will be happening this Thursday, and we will be talking about books with autism representation. So show up for that. You can also see the calendar for the weeks ahead. So we have lots of exciting content. So be sure to join us Thursday at 12 noon Eastern time. We'll be going live again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching us, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.